No more rear turn signal at the bottom. You're gonna have a nightmare PPFing the grille all the way from the 19s to 21-inch wheels. Genesis has done a great job of demonstrating the ambient lights. Hyundai N has the performance blue belts. Welcome to CarSceneKorea. I introduce newly released Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia cars. And on my background today, I have 2025 Genesis GV70, and you might be questioning yourself, what's different? That's precisely the reason why I'm here today. Let me tell you the nitty-gritty thing about this Genesis GV70 facelift. For your information, most of the upgrades and change that have been made on this Genesis GV70 goes along the same line of that of the G80 for these upcoming Genesises. Definitely go check out the Genesis G80 facelift video that I've done. I have done a thorough review inside out, including the test drive. It really is about the details when it comes to the recent facelift of Genesis brands, and let me tell you all about it. Let's go. First ever on this GV70 facelift is this Ceres blue, and it just blew my mind when I first came up here, the rooftop. It has been applied on this GV70 facelift for the first time ever, and this is what the color looks like under a broad direct sunlight. First and foremost, let's get started with this lights right here. These are MLA headlights, which stands for micro lens array. And well, it is pretty much self-explanatory. These each little tiny cubes you see, they compose the headlight altogether. Precise matrix headlights. The high beam assist on this works just insane. IFS is the name of it, which stands for Intelligent Front Lighting System. The Genesis's IFS is just on top of everybody else when it comes to the Korean cars, at least. Simply put, as you can see, this is a thin to road headlamp with ultra precise manufacturing technology. So that is definitely the cue from the Genesis, the double line identity. It's also profoundly found here on the crest grille as well, which is the double layered G matrix pattern. And this is the Sport model. I will tell you all about it momentarily, starting with the wheels, the calipers, the list just goes on. And it has a ridiculous amount of display inside, which is 27 inches wide. The biggest change that's been made on the rear is that now the turn signal has been integrated to the rear tail light. So there is no more rear turn signal at the bottom. It's now put together with this rear taillights. The rear third brake light, it's now wider and seamless straight line on the rear, which I will show you right now. Straight and simple compared to a bit of that V or crest shaped third brake light that we had on the first GV70. For your information, that V shape is actually portraying the tip of the Genesis emblem, the shield emblem. A beautiful exhaust tips on the rear as well. A good mix of the piano black, the high gloss black finish, and this car being a 3.5 twin turbo model, it has the real, of course, the real exhaust on both right and left, right there. The Genesis emblem, the logo, the good shield emblem that we all know of. The Genesis actually uses what's called guilloche pattern that implements the emblem and logo right onto the bonnet. So you can see it's actually level with the bonnet itself. Paying attention to fine detail, that's what it's all about when it comes to Genesis. And of course, when it comes to luxury that Genesis is. I want to zoom in on the front skid plate that's being changed. You can see it's wide and stretches out left and right, just like so. A very adequate amount of usage when it comes to that dark chrome. I love that dark chrome pattern. Of course, it's going to be prone to damage just a little bit, the rock chips and all. So if you get this car, I would recommend that you do the PPF on this portion, at least at the minimum. You're gonna have a nightmare PPFing the grille, the enlarged horizontal air duct, which is completely functional. Of course, you can see the duct right there. So it's not so much about the aerodynamics. I mean, it is, but most of the job of that duct right there is to reduce the vortex created around the wheel right here. So it will push out the different pressure out from the wheels, which has the effect on the ride of this GV70 facelift. And also that gets converted into the fuel economy, fuel efficiency. When it comes to cooling down the heat of the brakes and rotors and such, such. That one doesn't really do much of a play. However, of course, the shape of the wheel itself does a big job. The good old 5-spoke wheel looking amazing. 5-spoke wheels, it just never gets old. Another beautiful taste that Genesis has done with this is that you see this double lines right there at the end of the spokes. Towards the edge of the rims, there are double lines on each spokes. I might have liked it even better if there was only one spoke that had the double lines. I mean, it really is my personal preference and personal taste. And I do think that I have seen such combination on the Genesis Magma. Magma, well, it's to be updated and confirmed, but it is the performance division of the Genesis. And you can see it has the GOE written on it, which means that it is explicitly made for this Genesis brand and also GV70. Michelin would actually manufacture the tire specifically asked by Genesis. That is the mark that you get on such tires. FYI, it's also the same case for Hyundai N's. Goes the same with the other high performance divisions such as BMW M's and Mercedes-Benz AMG. And you might think the rotors are tiny, but don't get me wrong, it is not tiny by any means. Just look at that gigantic monoblock, the Genesis rad caliper. That is the 4-pot monoblock, big size calipers. In the good old days, we used to call it BBK, right? Big brake kits. So the rotor size is not small by any means. The car is currently slapped around 255 40 21. You heard me right, everybody. It is 21-inch wheels from the manufacturer. It is the 21-inch wheels from Genesis. When it comes to modifying your car, number one thing that you would look for on the market is definitely the wheels, right? One of the easiest and cheapest way for you to upgrade your exterior color that will make the change stand out the most, right? There was not much of an option when it came to the wheels. However, that's not the case anymore with the Genesis GV70. I am including the whole list of the wheels right now. You can choose all the way from the 19s to 21-inch wheels. As you can see, feel free to drop in the comment below what is your favorite wheels. I must say that this is my personal favorite wheel by far when it comes to the design, but for the sake of the performance, I think I will go with the 19-inch wheels instead of the 21s. It looks amazing. Just a beautiful car. The Ceres blue, ladies and gentlemen. Jot that down. Ceres blue. It is a beautiful, amazing color. This is what it looks like under the sunlight. Let me show you other colors inside the showroom. Depending on the lightings we get, you are getting the different colors. I think this is the matte color versus while the other one being the gloss. Do not be confused. This is the regular GV70. The easiest way for you to tell is from this double layered crest grille. This double layered grille is a double layered grille on a 2D aspect, but the Sport package had it on the 3D version. So even the chrome color, I think it's a little different. It is just the good old chrome line at the bottom you see right here. Another 21-inch wheels, but I mean, it has the good old 5-spoke wheel pattern to it. However, you can see it has a bit of more design to it. So this is the copper color, which is the iconic color of the Genesis brand. And this also is the 4-pot monoblock. This 4-pot monoblock calipers are now standard on this GV70 facelift. The rotor size and the brakes, I think they are the same size. That is the difference that a design of the wheel and spokes do when it comes to the visuals of a wheel. That 21-inch wheel on the Sport model looked much aggressive and bigger. As much as the exterior is important when it comes to Genesis, of course it is. The interior, that is utmost important thing. The ride started from a circular oval shape design. You can see that from there. You can see that from the door catch. Let's find out all about the interior. First and foremost, let's change the language into English. Not only is it touch sensitive, but you can also run this dial so you could quickly skip through these menus and modes if you will. And this has always been my personal favorite. You can see how easily and fast and quickly I change my settings in the menu I want. Changing that into English and motorized telescopic, and you can customize the steering wheel position to your desired needs, as you can see. So first on this GV70 facelift is this two-toned steering wheel patterns, as you can see. I will be including the precise name on the screen right now. Just so many names when it comes to the interior these days, but wow. And also this brushed out interior too. And just look at the way it strikes off So speaking of the interior, the penetrating interior theme here in Genesis, not only the GV70 facelift, but the penetrating design theme of the Genesis brand itself is the beauty of white space. A saying here in Korea, which is 여백의 미 in Korean. Roughly translating, it means if it's more empty, there is beauty within it. I don't know if that makes sense, but it is what it is. So there is the beauty found instead of you trying to fill up the emptiness, but rather leaving that as the emptiness itself. There is the beauty within. So that's what it means. Hopefully I delivered it right. We can see that there's the brand new ambient light that is flickering right now, but I will be including the night footage. Genesis has done a great job of demonstrating the ambient lights stretching all the way from the end of the door panel, connected all the way around, hogs around, and it comes all the way down to the center fascia. So it also gets carried down to here, connected all the way to here. Is the same case for the second row seats as well. All other UI, GUI right here is the same as what we have seen on the G80 facelift. If you are curious about the real life, real world action of what it looks like, feel free to check out my previous G80 facelift video. And this is the neon theme. So FYI, if you didn't know, you can easily change the settings by touching the screen just like I did. And that is the augmented reality monitor. And this gentleman just keeps popping up by our screen. So there is also the AR, augmented reality, as you can see right there. So just like the smartphones, you can easily swipe up. All self-explanatory menus and buttons and features. Feel free to pause the video and go through them. So this is the oval point that I mentioned. So there is a lot of circular oval shapes inside, which is something that we did not see on the exterior, right? However, GV60 has what's called the crystal knob that spins around, and it sure is uniquely GV60. So these shift by wire we've seen before on other G80 facelift and G90 and so forth. So just simply twist it around to whichever direction you want to go, rotate it to the right to put it onto the drive, left for reverse, and push it down for parking. Auto hold on and off. This is keeping the car at neutral even after the engine has been shut off. That is the feature exclusively for domestic Korean market at the moment, I believe, because there is just crazy parking lot issue here in Korea. People do a lot of parallel parkings in front of other cars, so the car needs to be put at neutral so people can actually push the car, find their way out from the parking lot. So that's what it is if you've been curious. So if you see a dummy button or if you don't see anything here on your market, it does not mean that you are missing out a feature, but it is just exclusively for Korea domestic market only. You can see there's the drive mode, the terrain button, and you can just push this around up and down just like so, change the different drive modes and push it in order to go into the different terrain modes, excuse me. I will tell you about it too momentarily, but do leave the terrain mode at auto because there are some awesome tech associated with this drive mode. Let me show you a bit more about the GV70 Sport interior now. Capri Blue. I wonder what the taste is like. By the way, this is non-alcoholic, of course. And I gotta bring out my cheat sheet a little bit here. So let me tell you about the auto terrain mode I told you about. I want you to put the car into the auto terrain mode because it automatically sets the driving mode that is best optimized for the current road condition that you are driving on. And included with the auto terrain mode, what's been upgraded on this car that's not really visible on the outside is the hydro bushing. It was only the front suspension that this Genesis GV70 had the hydro bushings on. However, it's not the case anymore. The rear also gets the hydro bushing. It is a bushing that has the liquid inside, further improving the role of a bushing. ANC-R, that stands for Active Noise Control Road. You have to have the Bang & Olufsen premium sound system in order to have that ANC-R. That is, it's active noise cancellating system. So that technology is also implemented on this GV70. You'll see tiny little button things inside the car, acoustic control. Putting that into a professional terminology, it uses the sensors and mics inside the GV70 to analyze the road noise coming into the cabin, and it counters the noise through the speaker, dramatically reducing reducing the noise to the passengers. Dual acoustic glasses, which means that it's the double laminated both front and rear. Of course, the windshield too. It's standard on all Genesis. I thought it was the mirror doing its work, but no, it was also that acoustic control, ANC-R at work. And you will definitely feel this big difference when you test drive one. And I think it also stood out in one of my videos too. The comfort that these Genesises provide, it is something that you just have to drive to see it and feel it for yourself. Just look at this booth that Genesis set up today. I do want to go over other miscellaneous stuff. The digital key 2, fingerprint recognition system inside the cabin, and UV sterilization and passenger memory seat. HOD, which is hands-on detection. Simply put, you do not have to shake your steering wheel every now and then, so long as you hold your steering wheel with 2 or more fingers. The message is not going to pop up saying you should grab your steering wheel. No. The Genesis GV70 comes with the HDA2, which is Highway Driving Assist 2, and LKA2, Lane Keeping Assist 2. The cherry on top is definitely that HOD, hands-on detection. Trust me, that is what you really want on the car nowadays. It makes a day and night difference when you go on a long distance drives. It might not strike you as big when you mostly drive the car on city roads, but trust me, it does make a huge difference on your highway drives. RSPA, which stands for Remote Smart Parking Assist 2, that allows you to park the car remotely using your remote key fob. And built-in Cam 2, which records both front and rear of the car 24/7 with the audio. And you can also get all of the information on your Genesis app. Last but not least, the DCM, which is the digital center mirror, and hands down one of my favorite features under poor rains and poor weather conditions. And I say it every single time, not only is it the rear view mirror gone digital, but it also gives you an extra view that you just didn't have before. 2 cameras on the front. One is for the digital cam 2.0 and another is for the ADAS associated drives come to the rear. So that's the reverse cam. One is for the digital center mirror and another is for the built-in cam 2. And you could turn on the digital center mirror. Watch, this is the conventional mirror. And hold on. All right, the car is out of battery, so it's not showing me the digital center mirror, but I will show you the footage with the other car right now. DCM on, without, so you see the difference. And also the wide panoramic sunroof. It is just a piece of cloth, but it really makes it look like part of the ceiling. This beautiful orange interior, the stitch. Of course, it's been applied on the seats as well, but the seat belt. This reminds me of Hyundai N's. Hyundai N has the performance blue belts. The color seat belts applied by the very manufacturer. Oh my God, love the era that we're living in. Another support that runs across the panoramic sunroof. And I think this will make the car rattling noise free from the sunroof. Because it happens from time to time as the car gets aged, I don't think we'll see any of that with this Genesis GV70. And now I am inside GV70 Sport package. So you can see there is the different steering wheel. This is the D cut and it's specifically for the GV70 Sport only. And the interior, well, I have to admit that it is mostly the same for the GV70 regular model, if you will. And I think that really speaks out loud what Genesis GV70 is. When it comes to Genesis, lower the number, the more sportier it is. Higher the number, the more luxury the car is. So you can easily think about Genesis G90, the ultimate luxury full-size saloon. So the car does not get any more luxurious than G90 from Genesis family, right? The lowest number we have right now is 60. Highest number is the 80 when it comes to the SUV lineup. So GV70 sitting right in between the two. I think it is just as sporty as GV60, but also luxurious as GV80. And that is what GV70 has done a great job with. So you see a lot of sportiness aspect interior-wise, but also the exterior-wise. the performance, the packages, exterior looks. Oh my God, take a moment to appreciate the interior of this Genesis. I love their work lately. They do amazing job when it comes to the interior colors. Operate the passenger seats with a push of a button just like so. A subscriber told me that these buttons come in really handy when you have a baby sitting on the second row seat. So you do need to move the seats every now and then, but this comes in real handy. These buttons, the glove, the UV sanitization I told you about, so extra tray right there. All those LED light looking things are for UVC sterilization, 12 volt indicator for the UVC, and C-type charging ports, as well as the USB, so when you need to transfer data from your phone and such. Put this guy back in, and wireless charging pad showing you the charging status. Does not necessarily mean the SOC, state of charging, but rather it's charging the phone. Due to the design of the car, you have to have your phone horizontally like so instead of being vertical, unlike Santa Fe. So that is something that I would point out. I wish would have been implemented, but for the obvious reason, it was not made possible on this GV70 facelift just yet. And that flag type glass right there, I always point it out every single time I see it on a car. It makes a huge difference, day and night difference, and God forbid, it could actually prevent accidents from happening because of the blind spot incurred by that portion being blinded. It's made possible by lowering the glass, attaching it right onto the panel of the door. So that is the memory seats on the passenger seat now. Of course, there's one on the driver's seat. That is what I mean. The side mirror is attached on the door panel, getting rid of the extra blind spot created by this portion being blocked. Let's go check out the second row seat. And you see, we already know it's going to be a great interior. Even on the second row seat of this Genesis GV70, nothing out of the ordinary. Although manual, you can control the blind. And there is the LED lighting, that oval shape. It's continued on the interior of the second row seat too. And this orange seatbelt, wow. It's gonna look amazing taking a selfie inside this Genesis GV70 now. I absolutely love it. Oh, okay, the second row seats are actually all manual, but you can fold the second row seat with a push of a button from the trunk. The second row seats are not yet to be motorized. Let me show you the trunk. So the trunk button is right here for the GV70. And well, thank God the trunk is opening. The battery is completely dead. So you can fold the second row seat using that lever right there, just like so. It's the same as the first GV70. That one is for your screen cover, the luggage cover. Fold it. Let's go see. Okay, that one locked on its own, we just heard, right? So you can actually lock the second row seat just like that. It's a little bit at an angle, so it's not completely flat. So it is not fully flat, if that is something that you're looking for. So a bit of extra storage right here. This essentially is identical from the first GV70, I have to tell you that. Seatbelt clip right there, so you don't hear the rattling noise from the car. This clip, just like so. So use that to get rid of the rattling noise. Genesis also has extra cloth behind it, so it's not going to make that noise. Lift this up and then just yank it all the way just like so. So that is the level of inclination you can get. It's tilted all the way to the forward, and I will push it all the way back, pushed all the way to the front. So you get the idea what it looks like from the outside. I really have to get that panoramic sunroof open. Let's go do that right now. And all self-explanatory buttons. Well, the car comes in a variation with the 2.5 and 3.5 twin turbo. Not sure what this car has unless I open it up, and this one has the V6 3.5 twin turbo. As you can see, massive ducts and lines going in and out of the car and the engine. The braces that we have seen before from the start of the Genesis brand, actually. I'm not sure if it's just for the looks, but I really like also the patterns, sound absorbers underneath the hood. Everything is for purpose, by purpose. So I'm pretty sure the design here has to do with the noise and the vibration and harshness and VH coming into the cabin through the engine bay to the cabin and so forth. So the rubber finish right there, and it goes all the way up to here. And this tip, it's also uniquely GV70 as well. So it is actually a part of the exterior and design, you know? There is a bit of indentation right there. Some people thought that was just a bit off. However, it really gets the job done when it's closed and goes really flush with the exterior of the car. GV70 Facelift Sport package. And of course, this one's gonna have the 3.5 twin turbo. So the car itself is not much different when it comes to the Sport package and regular. You don't really see much of a difference, except for a few subtle things that you see in and out of the car. But again, that is all the difference that this Genesis makes. So that is the route that Genesis is heading towards. You see the luxury that comes standard on all models and trims, but you get the subtle changes in customization should you wish. Speaking of customization and options you get with the Genesis GV70, let's go downstairs and show you other Genesis GV70s, including the different wheel choices and options that you can get for your Genesis GV70. Let's go check it out. All right, here we are. This is the main stage, if you will. The easiest way for you to differentiate if the car is the Sport package or not is definitely the grille that you want to check out. So both of them have the double layered grille, as you can see. You can see the crisscross patterns right there. But most importantly, the Sport package actually has more of a 3D, while the GV70 regular has the 2D version. So we've checked out the GV70 Sport package as much as I like on the rooftop, but we got some good lighting here. Look at that. That is the color that you probably see mostly at your parking lot. The matted out color. I will come up with the precise name, but it's one of the most beautiful matte colors. The same wheel, same brake caliper, rotors, you name it, except for the different exterior color. It was the Ceres blue that we saw from the rooftop. The whole different vibe. Just look at that. It looks much more sporty, masculine. The straight lines on the bonnet, as you can see, this is more rigid and prominent with this color, thanks to less reflecting lights. It's the exterior colors. On the left is the gloss finish. On the right is the matte finish. Makalu gray matte color is what we saw. Mauna red and Capri blue. So that is the rink. So I told you the Capri blue is the straight from the exterior color of the Genesis brand. Ceres blue, store green, Vic black. That is the black color of the standard Genesis. Makalu gray, Seville silver, and Uyuni white. Leather materials, but the garnish ornaments. The hairline brushed pattern aluminum is what we saw. Diamond brushed pattern aluminums and the real carbon. I did not know that. I did not know it was actually the real carbon that Genesis has used. The real carbon and high gloss finish. GV70, no doubt, is a sporty coupe of the Genesis brand and legacy, but not as much as the GV60, however, far more sportier than GV80. So you can see the other regular GV70 on the background. So those are the regular GV70 facelift on the background. You can hit the trunk using that button right there. So I assume this is the loaded model. Oh, wow, look at that. Not all the Sport package gets the orange seatbelt. You still do get a black seatbelt on a Sport package. The orange seatbelt is actually for an option. So let's hop in. Oh, it's just so cozy and luxury everywhere. It feels so luxurious. And also, you can close the trunk using that button right there. Seems like the digital center mirror is on, and it is. You see, the different display pops up when the trunk closes because it has the digital center mirror on. So that is the conventional rear view mirror versus digital center mirror. And of course, you can all adjust the angle, the brightness of all this. You can lower it, you can tilt it up. Brushed aluminum pattern that we saw from the outside strikes differently under a underground parking lot kind of a lighting, if you will. You can operate it all inside right here. I love the dials here. I actually do prefer some of the physical buttons for frequently used. This dial is far more direct and straightforward, right? Lower the temperature, the volume, and the tune knobs right here. Drop down glove box. It's not all that gigantic, to be honest. However, it gets the job done. And time for that ambient light. The driver's seat, the components, it's not much different, to be honest. All other interior buttons, self-explanatory, something that we've seen before. Just because I want to check out what's underneath the hood of this car once again, but pretty sure it's going to be the same. V6 3.5 twin turbo. Pretty sure it's gonna be the same. V6 3.5 twin turbo, and it is. I want to check and see if any of the car has the 2.5. What do you think about this tip of the design right here from the bonnet? Some people at first thought it was actually a mistake by Genesis, but again, of course, it's done on purpose. It actually adds the unique style to GV70 and GV70 only, even from the Genesis family. Drop in the comment below what you think about that. This is the pitch black interior for us to check out all the lightings, the ambient light of GV70 Facelift, but of course, we want the lights out. Let's go check it out. Oh, just look at that. Even the display here, you see, it's double line identity everywhere. It's hugging around the entire display. Oh man, I love what they've done over here. So double line identity, uniquely Genesis. So this guy right here, it's about to light up. Let's go check it out. 예, 감사합니다. Oh my god. So these are the ambient lights inside the GV70. It's also on the dial knob, as you can see, stretches all the way. I want to close the sunroof and see if there's an ambient light on there. If you didn't know, G90 actually gets a little bit of an ambient light right there when it's closed, but it's not the case with the GV70. Genesis has been really conservative about the ambient lights, the use of the ambient lights, if you will. Well, I'm gonna name it. Mercedes-Benz, we know that they are crazy with their ambient lights, but it wasn't so much the case with the Genesis. However, I think this right amount and right usage of the ambient lights here on GV70 Facelift is just adequate and makes the car look so much more luxurious. Wow, even the footrest, there is lighting, and speaking of that, I'm pretty sure there's a lighting on the passenger seat too, and yes it is. This is the mood curator, and I believe it was not available on the first GV70, but now it's trickled down to this GV70 Facelift as well. It was actually provided with the G90. So the mood curator, there are 4 different modes you can choose from: vitality, delight, care, and comfort. So putting together, it also gives you that display, but also adequate music, the lighting, and also the scent. I feel like I need to get some care done and start. So all the music, the calmness, and also the seat. Ergo Motion seat is up and running, kind of giving me the best comfort possible. But when you turn off the ambient lights, the footrest, footlights are still on. So turn off the ambient light all the way down. This is 1. So this is the minimal lighting ambient light you can get, and all the way going up to all the way 10. Just like so. 1 all the way up to 10. Voila. These are some of the presets you can choose from. You can customize it all you want right over here. I'm going to test out the Dolby Atmos, but you need to have the B&O sound system, Bang & Olufsen Premium sound system, to enjoy that. With the B&O, as I've told you, it comes with the acoustic control right here, active noise cancellation system, ANC-R, I told you about. So that is the B&O premium sound system right there. But it's also, the cherry on top is the Atmos, Dolby Atmos. I'm going to test it out myself. Let's go check it out. I know audio is not going to do the work, but oh, I feel the bass already.
This is Dolby Atmos, the world's first object-based cinematic audio. With powerful moving audio that transcends from channels to moving around you.
It is actually surrounding myself. Oh wow.
Of nature's fury.
If you've been watching my channel, you guys know that I don't really point on the sound system, but Dolby Atmos, if you feel it for yourself, it is just a no-brainer. You feel the difference immediately. Performance inside and luxurious on the outside. I don't know if that makes any sense, but if you have doubts about that, go visit your local Genesis dealership and feel it for yourself. This car deserves to be test driven, and I am coming up with the test drive. Don't forget to like and subscribe CarSceneKorea. If you did, I will see you on the next video. Hopefully I get the sport package with the Mauna Red. I also love having fun with Genesis. All right, that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. All right, let's check out the interior of this one. Oh, so this is the green color. Pardon me, I did not memorize all the colors. Jesus, look at this two-tone. So the green inside and also the sunroof right there. And that is the second row seat. And check this guy out too. Okay, so this one has the Vic black on the outside and the black interior too. Love the taste that Genesis has. Black on black, you can never get wrong with that. And the aluminum garnish that we have seen. Beautiful. Brake operation. For brake on, off, for brake on, off. Wow, the blinker is gone. So I only have the hazard light. Left turn, right turn, hazard light, high beam, lights on, lights off, high beam, left turn, right turn,